that is really the most simplistic things that make our lives meaningful. And so ingratitude is the seed for regret. I want you to write that down. Ingratitude is the seed for regret. And a lot of people, I don't want to expound on every point, but I feel like I have to say this. A lot of people in the world are living very unfulfilled lives because they are ungrateful. A lot of people are like, I don't understand why I'm not experiencing more breakthroughs or open doors or opportunities in my life. And I tell them it's very simple. You're not grateful. You don't appreciate your journey. You don't appreciate where you are. And even more than that, you haven't learned anything from your journey. You want to walk through a new door, and you haven't even gained the wisdom from the old door of the last season. Every season of our life is teaching us something, and every season of our life is attempting to produce a transformation. But are you cooperating with the process? Are you learning the wisdom? Are you gaining the insights that are going to not only improve your life, but empower you to become the greatest expression of who you were created to be? And so we have to deal with this element of being ungrateful, and you have to learn how to appreciate things in your life. We live in a very entitled culture. You know, in my book, Chosen Strategies for Revolutionary Leadership, I talk about one of the major breakdowns that I see in 21st century leadership is entitlement, and people that think they are owed something. I don't care how gifted you are, how talented you are, how much capacity you have. You are not entitled to anything. Nobody owes you anything. Nobody has to do anything for you. Anything that anybody does for you out of the goodness of their heart, you should be appreciative for it. But we live in a culture, I walk in certain rooms, and the arrogance is so overwhelming. I mean, the pride is just producing this just horrid odor off of people's lives because they are arrogant and they believe their own press. They believe they are more than they are. And one of the things that has been so helpful and beneficial to me is to understand I'm not all that. Everything that I do, everything that God has allowed or empowers me to do is by His grace and by His strength and sufficiency. It's not about me. And I think in a very self-centered and selfish world and culture, we lose track of that, and we feel like done for us or have to be given to us. And sadly, for many of those people, the rug has to be pulled out from under them, and they have to be humbled and broken to realize how blessed they really were. And so when I look around the world today, I see a lot of complaining and not enough change agents. Complaining is a waste of God's breath and a misuse of moments. I mean, how many people do we encounter on a consistent basis that are just always complaining? You go into a supermarket and you get into the line and the people are watching the cashier ring up the items and they're complaining. And you know, the thing that I find so interesting about complaining is that complaining is very good at finding companions. It's easy to find people that are going to complain with you and woe is me with you. It's harder to find individuals that are going to reframe and reshape the narrative around their lives and what's possible for their lives. Complaining not only robs you of moments, but it is the thief of contentment. Let me say that again. Complaining not only robs you of moments, but it is the thief of contentment. And so many people in the world today need a lesson in contentment. They are never content. We live in a very lustful society. It drives our marketing. It drives everything that we do. Everybody wants something else. Everybody wants what every other person has. And nobody has really learned how to be content with who they are and what they have in their lives. It's not difficult to complain about what is wrong with your life, but on the other hand, it does take discipline to develop a gratitude paradigm. Let me say that again. It does take a great degree of discipline to develop a gratitude paradigm. And so as you heard me say, keeping that gratitude journal, developing an attitude of gratitude has been a 20-plus year journey for me. So it's not just something that I just started doing or I heard about on television and the magazine. It's been a discipline that's been developed over many years now. But you have to begin to develop a gratitude paradigm. You have to understand how blessed you are. You know, one of the things that I believe has helped me as well is my work has resonated with so many people in so many different parts of the world. And there are people that follow my work and buy my books and listen to this podcast that live in third world countries. They live in places that we would deem to be, you know, low living or below our standards. And I've seen these people succeed and prosper and do incredible things. And what I love about them is the level of gratitude and appreciation they have for everything in their lives. They don't take anything for granted. And I look at a lot of people, especially us here in America, and this entitlement, like certain things are just automatic. Like, you got to do this for me. And we don't realize how privileged and blessed we really are. While not many here in the United States are getting ready to celebrate Thanksgiving, few really understand the power of gratitude. Like I said, we're going to sit around the table on Thursday with our turkey and our dressing or stuffing, depending on what part of the country you're from, our candied yams, our macaroni and cheese, all of our favorite items and dishes. We're going to eat to our heart's content. We're going to be all bubbly inside, and then Friday morning, people are going to line up. They're going to trample one another, fight, cause chaos in stores, and all of a sudden that gratitude just disappears. And it disappears because it's not a way of life for us. It's just something we say, something we do. It's the right thing to do because that's the date on the calendar, but it has not really become a lifestyle and a way of life for many people. As I was saying earlier in this podcast, Thanksgiving should never be limited to a date on the calendar. Thanksgiving is a daily commitment and a way of life. Let me say that again. Thanksgiving is a daily commitment and a way of life. And so I want you to begin to shift your paradigm around gratitude and Thanksgiving. Don't limit this to one day in November. I want you to incorporate this as a principle into every area of your life. Moreover, I would say that gratitude must become a pillar that anchors your life. One of the things that I believe has contributed to my success, my longevity, my consistency is being a grateful person and understanding that gratitude is really a pillar in your life. It's one of the foundational pieces that supports your life and everything that you are attempting to build and to construct in your life. Without the pillar of gratitude, our lives collapse and our lives lack meaning. That's why I can watch people. They can make 6 figures, 7 figures, 8 figures. They can buy all of this stuff, and then I talk with them, and they're the most miserable and unhappy people on earth. Why? Because they think that possessions will bring them peace. They think that materialistic things will bring meaning to their lives. And at the end of the day, all of that stuff really doesn't mean as much as we think it does. Without a sense of appreciation, without being anchored in an eternal reality and truth, our lives are going to lack meaning. And as I said, without that pillar of gratitude, you begin to collapse the foundation of your life. Gratitude is a choice, and it is something that you must cultivate in your life. You have to choose to be grateful. Let me tell you, every circumstance is not going to be perfect. Everything is not going to go according to plan. Everything in your life is not going to be, a cakewalk for you. But what you are going to have to do is you're going to have to choose to be grateful. I think one of the greatest powers we've been given as human beings is the ability to choose, and not just the ability to choose, but the ability to choose one thought over another. You know, in my book, Upgrade Your Mind, I talk about the power of reprogramming your mind. A lot of times we say change your thinking, but what we don't understand is that you cannot just uproot a thought without putting a new thought there. And so a lot of people are like, I got to change my thinking. I got to renew my mind. How do you do that? You have to begin to replace those toxic thoughts with the right thoughts that are going to produce the outcomes you want to see. And so you have the power to choose, and more so than just having the power to choose, you have the power to choose one thought over another. That means that just because a thought comes to your mind doesn't mean that you have to allow it to live in your life. Write that down. Just because a thought comes to your